Hi guys, JV and Minot here, and tonight I'm going to review the movie Don't Breathe, starring Stephen Lang, whom you might know from the movie Avatar, Gods and Generals, Gettysburg, and Ike Clanton in Tombstone. Anyhow, the story is about this Iraqi war veteran who happens to be blind. He's living in this old decrepit house in the middle of a desolate Detroit neighborhood where there are no houses around, so there's not a lot of cops. And these three thugs in their 20s decide they're going to rob him of a stash they believe that he's got hidden in the house somewhere. They rob houses for a living, and this is the first time they're going to actually take cash. But anyway, they decide to rob the house because they think it's easy pickings. Well, it turns out that it's not quite as easy to rob as they thought it was going to be, and it turns into this big nasty cat and mouse game throughout the movie. Anyhow, I went and saw it because, one, the critics liked it, supposedly, and most of the audience liked it from before. And I liked the concept of the movie, and I like Stephen Lang, who's a really good actor. But anyhow, I was very, very disappointed in this movie. I thought it should have been called Don't Waste Your Hard-Earned Cash. There's a few good things about this movie. Sometimes, during the more tense scenes, the filmmaker does tension really well when there's actual tension. And Stephen Lang does a real good job as a blind man, as a blind Iraqi Afghani war veteran, and you believe that he's blind. Okay, and he adds a couple of layers to the character as you find out throughout the movie. Now for the bad, why I didn't like this movie. Let's start with the plot. The plot was so paper thin that about 2/3 through the film, they add a subplot or a plot twist. And I'm not going to go into detail, but if you're not into bodily fluids besides blood, you might not want to go and see this movie. That bodily fluid scene is probably the scene that gave this a rated R. In fact, as far as I know, the violence really wasn't all that gory at all. There was very little gore in the movie. I was wondering why it was PG or it was rated R, but I figure it's for the language and for that bodily fluid scene. But I'm not going to get into that too deeply. Anyhow, the plot was paper thin. Another problem I had with the movie was that it has every horror thriller cliche in the book. It was predictable. You had characters who make stupid decisions. There was too much foreshadowing. The filmmaker literally, any weapon that's going to be used in this movie, he shows in a close-up right away. He literally tells you almost everything that's going to happen in the movie. There's just way too much foreshadowing in this movie. It's way too predictable. He shows you too much before the action occurs, and you can predict what's going to happen, okay? Another cliche is a character who can't seem to die, and there's a couple of them in this movie. But of course, Stephen Lang's character, he seems to be like Superman for some reason. Yes, he's an Iraqi war veteran. Yes, he probably has more focused hearing, but he's not supposed to be Superman. He's not Daredevil. But anyway, and I don't mind cliches like this in some movies, because all the movies you see have cliches like that. If they didn't, most movies probably wouldn't last more than 15 minutes. So I can understand to a degree some of these cliches, but this movie is just covered in them and swamped in them. But overall, because I can predict so much in the movie, because of the foreshadowing, I really couldn't enjoy the movie. The acting was real good, but other than that, I can't say you should waste your money. I don't know why the critics love this movie so much. Maybe because it's an independent film, supposedly. But then again, it was made by Sony, or Sony owns the company, which Sony's been known to fake movie critics before, and probably pay off a few movie critics. But I don't understand why this movie is so popular with them. There are better movies out there. I thought The Conjuring 2 was a much better movie. It had a lot more heart. What else did I have? It had cheap scares, which I don't like. But anyway, it had a lot of plot holes, which I'm not going to go into, but there are quite a few plot holes. Maybe if enough people see this video and they ask about it, maybe I'll do a spoiler one. This is my first just plain movie review instead of a pickups video, because I want to do more videos. I want to expand. So, but anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'm telling you, Don't Breathe. Whatever you do, don't see it at full price. It's not worth seeing at full price. If you get bored, go to a matinee. It's going to be at the movies for a few weeks. Go see it at a matinee cinema or El Cheapo movie theater if you have one in your city. Other than that, I can't recommend this movie. I don't mind when critics overrate a movie a little bit, like they did with Kubo and the Two Strings. A beautiful movie, but the pacing was piss poor. But when they take a turd like Don't Breathe and It Follows, and they turn it into some kind of masterpiece, that I have a problem with. I don't know what in the world the critics were thinking. Anyhow, that's my review, and I hope you like it. Tell me, be brutally honest about my review, and let me know what you think. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, have a good weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye.